Hi, besties. Welcome back. Today, we will be plucking our very first frontal. I'm going to start by putting the little T parts into the mannequin head so I don't have to worry about the wig slipping and sliding. Now, the camera angles in the beginning are going to be a little wonky, but bear with me. So, I start with wetting it. You want this wig to be very wet so you're not ripping the hair out of the frontal. I probably could have. I use the misting spray bottle. I don't like using the misting spray bottle on my own hair, but for the wigs, it actually works a lot better because it gets it saturated without it being soaking wet, minus my pants. So now I'm gonna rotate and I'm going to comb it out because you don't want it to be tangled while you are plucking it because it's going to you're gonna take more pieces of hair than you need to. So just detangle it. Rat tooth combs are perfect for detangling wigs because it really gets all the fine pieces of the hair. And then you're going to separate it. You're going to take 2 inches behind the hairline because you don't want to start directly on like the edges. You want it to look as natural as possible. So I'm just parting it and separating the hair so we can get a really decent piece and it's not just going to be like directly on the hairline. More detangling. Y'all, I have a confession to make. This is the first wig that I bought from Amazon where I agree with everyone who has said do not purchase wigs from Amazon. This wig is so thin. Most of it did not take the color as well as I like. As you can see from right there, it is shedding. And honestly, it was really thick. It was one of the harder ones to pluck. But we're going to start plucking right here. And as you pluck, you want to do like a dragging motion. You don't want to just yank. You want to smoothly glide it out. As you can see from right here, there's a huge blonde piece of hair. Like I did not dye this wig twice. That's frustrating to me. I'm going to pluck. And then honestly, when I first started plucking, this is not the way you're supposed to do it. And you want to put a white base under your wig so you can see which section of the hair you're cutting and how you're cutting it. Not cutting it, plucking it. You want to put a white. I use my mannequin head because it is already white. You can use a towel. Just make sure you have a white base so you can see clearly everything that you are plucking. But this side started out real simple. You want to go through and comb it to make sure you're getting all the loose hair out. And as you can see, loose hair is coming out. It's not losing a lot. I'm going to go through and make another part and then pluck there as well because I want it to be thinned out as possible. But this wig was so, oh my God. Oh, and I just broke my comb. I'm just going to stick it back in because, it is what it is. I go in with more water because you do not want it to dry out. The drier the wig, the harder the pluck. So I am adjusting the part to make sure it's straight. And then I start on the end. Like the hands motions it's really like plucking eyebrows. If you've ever plucked your eyebrows, it's like plucking that, but you just want to make sure you don't go over the same spot multiple times. And I am counting 3. You go over 3 notches and then you make 3 steps, 3, and then you pluck again, and that makes it look more natural because if you're not thinning out one spot, you're going over to 3 different spots and plucking there. How are y'all doing today? What's new? It is a new year, and y'all, at the start of this year, I'm already stressed. I am already stressed, but there's not much I could do about it. I gotta like limit my stress levels, but moving is so stressful and Because it's like you want to pack things, but you don't want to throw away something you might need. And then like reconnecting with people I haven't talked to in a while. It's just creating boundaries, trying to stand on boundaries. But we're going to stick to plucking. And so far, as you can see, this is starting to thin out. It's starting to look a little more natural. Gonna go through and comb again. Some people also like hot comb to um some people hot comb to pluck, but I prefer the water method. And as you can see, the hairline is still very thick and not, it's unnatural looking. So we're just going to go through and pluck directly on the hairline. But I try not to be heavy handed at the front because you do not want a balding, you don't want a bald spot in the front of your wig. But you also don't want it to be like super duper thick either. You want it to kind of mimic your natural hairline. So if you know what your natural hairline looks like, and you can re-pluck this to look like your hairline. So I'm going to comb this. Comb it out. This is my first, that's the first section. So it looks better than the rest. You see it's gotten thinner. It's not as thick. It doesn't look as bulky anymore. So now we are going to recreate that on the rest of the frontal. And now I just flipped it over. This is not the same side. This is the left side. And now we're just going to start at the end and pluck our way up while skipping the 3. I don't be as heavy-handed towards the back as I am when I get directly to the front. Like, I want it to be really, I just want to get rid of the bulkiness, and I don't want it to look too wiggy. Like, that's the one thing I don't want it to do. I don't want it to look like a wig. It's going to look like a wig, but I don't want it to look like, I don't know. What's the word I guess too wiggy. But as you see, it's starting to tangle really bad, so we're going to comb that out. And that's just the pieces of shed hair that are coming out. Not really shed hair, the plucked hair. My base, and then I kept going here because I didn't feel like it was thinning enough to my liking. So now I'm going to take this part, put another part in. Oh, I guess I edited out the part. But now we're going to go towards the front. I'm just going to comb it out and see if the front is to my liking. It is not, so I make a small... Girl, what are you doing? Alright, now we're going to move on to the middle part. We're moving on to a new section. I guess I was cleaning up what I had already plucked there. So now I'm going to detangle just a little bit. And then don't try to rush plucking. Like, it's the most time consuming thing you can do, but you don't want to rush it, because the faster you move and the more you mess up, you will have a bald spot in your wig. Just gonna add some more water. Spray it down. We're gonna add some more water. It don't look like this spray bottle working. This is my least favorite spray bottle, y'all. But make sure you are saturating the section you're working on. I saturate in sections because I can't deal with a whole wet wig. I don't like how it feels on my hands. So I just go piece by piece, detangle, part, and now make sure it is secured in the T-parts, and then start plucking again. See how it's a nice dragging motion? It's not like short plucks. Yes, you don't want to do short plucks. You want to drag it. I count to 3 and then I am back plucking. And then we just pluck. And as you can, the longer you watch it, you see that it thins out a lot. And it helps it get it nice and flat. I do like to hold the hair in front taut so it doesn't get mixed up in what I'm already plucking. There's no confusion, there's no overlap. It's just straight parted hair, pluck, part hair, pluck, part, pluck, section, pluck, pluck, pluck. I had wished this was a better wig though, because the color came out really cute. I might have to run this back with some higher quality hair. See how it's looking? It's nice. It's thinning out. But yeah, this might be the worst hair that I've ever bought from Amazon. I don't even remember what company I bought this from, but this hair is so stringy and thin. Oh my god. I'm not looking for. So I'm doing this as a series. Y'all are gonna see I'm gonna upload the video of dyeing it, upload the video of plucking it, and upload the video of installing it. And I've been dragging my feet to install this wig. I'm gonna go over the same section because I do have a couple of gripes with the 3. I think I might go over too big in my 3s because I feel like it'll be thinned out in nice places and then it'll be like a huge chunk of hair that just looks like I haven't touched it in a while and looks like you haven't plucked it. So I think I have to do smaller sections. Be mindful of like how it's looking as you're plucking because you don't want to pluck and then I'm recording. I know Chucky's gonna make cameos in every video. Um, just be mindful of the gaps you are taking while you're plucking because you don't want it to start out. You don't want it to look like you are skipping sections while you're plucking. So it shouldn't be big gaps. You don't want it to be big gaps. So combing that out now. So far it's so good. Yeah, a better wig, this color would have been more vibrant. That's the section, that's how much hair we lost right there. And then I parted it, and now we're going through with another section and starting. Actually, better camera angles than I thought. It's coming along nicely. Really nice. So, yeah, we're just gonna pluck, drag it through. And then I use I don't know what's that. Let me see where my tweezers. I try to use the pointier side of the tweezers. But you have to be really careful which side of the tweezers you use. Because if you're using the sharp side, it will, you do stand a chance. The sharper the tweezers, the better the pluck is going to be, but you do stand a chance of putting a hole in your lace if you're not careful. See right there, I don't like how thick this section is. We have parted, and then we're starting over again. Going to 3, and then plucking. I'm trying not to have it be all quiet, but I don't know what to say about plucking that hasn't already been said. But yeah, it's looking real. I don't give myself credit at all. I feel like this could still have been better. But your pluck job is going to look different on different qualities of lace. So if you have a great quality lace, the plucking is going to be easier. 1,000%. It's not going to be hard. And it's going to look better. Because as y'all can see, this is a lot of hair coming off, but it doesn't look like it. And it's like I bleached these knots. It was a blonde wig, so like the knots on blonde wigs aren't large to begin with, but these feel like large knots. And like it hasn't been bleached and already colored. And also, if you are plucking your wig, natural color wigs and dyed wigs are going to pluck different. Dye will weaken your lace. If you have dyed or bleached the knots on your lace, which most people do, it's better to pluck your wig after you have already bleached the knots because the knots are weaker. If you go out here, try to pluck a lace that has not been bleached, altered, it's going to be harder and you're going to be prone to not breaking. You're going to put a hole in your lace if you are not careful. So it is better to bleach the knots first and then pluck. That way you are going to preserve your lace. You are not going to put a hole in it. It's going to come out much, much better. As long as it's high quality lace. But so far, this is looking good. But yeah. I don't want to sit here and complain about the lace, but y'all, this lace was a journey. But as y'all see, it's looking really nice right there. I've made another part, and now we're going to go in and pluck some more. Starting to get the groove, and the longer you pluck, so I started plucking on closures. Closures are a lot easier to pluck than a frontal or a lace front. I don't know the difference between this. I gotta pull up a video, but I think this is a frontal. Yeah, it's like a it's a small one though. It's not, there's different sizes of frontals. So you got a 6x4, a 13x4, a 13x6, and a 13, give me just a second. Let's see the different lace. I know it's 13x4, 13x6. And here we go. Yeah. So it's only 13x4 and 13x6. And then you can get frontal closures in 2x6, 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, and 7x7. If you want more parting space and a better like styling experience, go for a 13x6. If you want something that is real low, if you want to be in the low maintenance, closures all the way. Now, and when you get into the 5x5 to 6x6 and 7x7 territory, you get a little more parting space, but it's still just a closure. This is a 13x4 I'm working with, and it has very limited parting space, very limited styling space, and it's very like condensed. This is my first time working with a frontal. I am a closure girl through and through. But this was a challenge. You gotta step out of your comfort zone. You have to step outside of your comfort zone. And now we're getting towards the front. This hair just tangles so bad. But now we're getting towards the front, and I want to make sure that it is on par with what I plucked along the side. You got to make sure the sides, I want everything to line up well. So this is why I say take your time with plucking, because you do not want one side to look better than the other, or to look like, it'll definitely be noticeable if you rushed through any part, because rushing does not give you the same results as taking your time. But so far, so good. I actually had fun with this. This was a whole lot of fun. Honestly, my favorite part of wigs is the customization part. So like bleaching the knots, dyeing the wig, plucking. Plucking might be my least favorite, but I love dyeing them and hot combing. I've yet to, y'all, I've been doing hair for, I want to say, every bit of 15, 16 years. I've never used a curling on. So I was going to cosmetology school during COVID. So my heat styling class was online. Oh, showing y'all that the middle and the front section is done. We have one more piece left. And then we're going to start. I start with a C part. You know, going from the side and parted it. And yeah, I moved up because I didn't want to shortchange it. I'm going to start on this angle so y'all can see. I did wet it, so it is wet too. But my cosmetology school was during COVID, and when I got to the heat styling class, we were learning how to blow dry with the brush. However, I've never used a curling iron. I still have not. I've used a curling wand. I used a wand curler, but I've never used a curling iron. I'm adding more water because I didn't feel like it was wet enough, and it was making it harder to pluck. So then we're just going to go through and pluck. I didn't like the sides of this frontal at all. The sides were a lot harder to deal with. I don't know. It feels like there was so many textures going on in this hair. And it just was not. As you can see, it's more force has to be applied to plucking. Don't be scared to get in there and pluck your wig, but be careful of the lace. So like if you're plucking the hairs, you want to make sure you are going through and directly grabbing the knot itself and pulling. Because if you're just not following through on the plucking motion, you're going to get a hole in your wig. I have put a hole in a couple of laces by not following through with my plucking. So you have to make sure you follow through and you are holding the tweezers correctly. And adding proper force. Like you don't want to have like too little force, but you don't want to add too much either. You want to have enough that the knots are being removed while not tearing up the lace. You can repair. Now, holes are sometimes inevitable. We are now in the last section of this wig. Holes are inevitable, but you want to make sure you're not putting it in a location where your part is. Because if it's where your part is, that's no fun. You've kind of ruined the wig then. So you want to make sure you don't ruin your wig. So yeah, I'm holding the lace because you want to make sure that lace is taut while you are plucking. But so far, so good. This is the last section. It's like when you get the home stretch, you just ready to be done. I'm going to comb out all those leftover pieces of hair. And this is the final. This is how we're looking. I probably am going to go back in and clean it up a little more. Get the T part out. But this is how the lace is looking now. And where we started, it did not look like this. when we started. So it looks more natural. It looks a lot thinner, but this is like so much. This hair was so bulky. I had to take the piece of styrofoam out. All right, so I'm gonna go through and make a middle part because this is a smaller lace space. So a middle part, you're not gonna be able to get a side part, a deep side part. So it's just gonna be a middle part. I'm making the part, and you see how it's laying flat. Well, it's laying flat because it's also wet still too. So I'm making the part. Because this is where I want it to lay when I go through and finish customizing it. When I finish customizing it with the hot comb and everything. But yeah, just going to make the part because this is how I'm going to want. It's better to make the part before you hot comb because you're seeing where before you make a permanent part. Because yeah, you can change the part on frontals, but it's really not gonna be easy to change once you hot comb and pluck it out. I don't necessarily like to pluck the part immediately, but this week the part's probably gonna have to get plucked because it doesn't look like a part. But I like the way the front is laying, and that's where the part's gonna sit. But I like how flat the edges are, and it looks like a natural hairline. Yeah, so this is how it's going to look when I install it. I'm gonna probably pluck some more of the front piece and pluck the part. But so far, this is how the wig's gonna look. It needs to be flat iron because it's not. Y'all got a gnat flying around and it's distracting me. But yeah, that's how the part looks. That's how the wig looks. I like how the plucking came out. And bye. This is also how much hair was plucked out. I'll see you on the next video.